Good evening, folks. It's your bro, your man, your myth, your legend, your man, your myth, your legend, your brother, Richie Rich here. So, today this video is now part 2. That's right, part 2 on the BMW E34. Say part 2 on the BMW E34. Say E34. E34. Where I left off from last time, I was on engines. So, yeah. Today I just got back home. Yeah, you're probably wondering what I have. These are just tags for NBA. I got some brand new LA merchandise. Hell yeah. So what I got is LA Lakers. So I'm a bit of a Lakers fan because, I've always was a huge, and always will be a huge fan of Los Angeles. So I decided, just get some LA Lakers stuff because it just looks badass. It looks awesome. So yeah, it's just cool, So today in this video, it is now part 2. That's right, part 2. Part 2 on the BMW E34. So today I'll be talking to you guys about the engines for the car. I'll be doing both petrol and diesel engines and whatnot. And performance as well. Say performance as well, and drivetrain and suspension and blah 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 blah. I know a lot of people don't like diesels. I don't, but hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. So before I start, make sure you all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, and hit the notification bell, and hit all so you're alerted when I make new uploads. So without any further ado, let's begin. I spent like 30 quid on NBA. Unbelievable. Anyways, let's get started. So I'm on engines now. So starting off with petrol. Here we go. So we got the graph of all the petrol powered cars. Starting off with the 518i. So here we go. So model, then here's engine, power, and torque. So first off is the 518i. So starting off with the first one from 1989 to 1989 to 1994. Say 1994. So it has a M40. So M40. M40 B18. So M40 B18. M40B. So M40 B18. Inline 4, which makes like 111 horsepower. Say 111 horsepower at 5,500 RPM. And 165 newton-meters, 122 pound-feet of torque at 4,250 RPMs. So 4,250 RPM. And then we got another 518i, but this one is from 1994. So 1994 to 1996. This time, however, it has an M43. So M43 B18. So M43 B18. say 114 horsepower. Say 114 horsepower at same 5,500 RPM, but this time it makes slightly bit more torque, which is 168 Newton meters. So 168 Newton meters. Say 168 Newton meters. 124. So 168. Wait, say 114 horsepower at 5,500 RPM with 168 Newton meters. 124 pound-feet of torque at 3,000, but this time at 3,900 RPM. Next up we got is the 520i slash 520, so 520i slash 520i S version. Starting off with the one from 1988 to 1990. This one, however, it has an M20, so M20, B20. So it was a 2-liter. So it's a 2-liter M20. So 2-liter naturally aspirated M20 B20 inline 6 well straight 6, which made 127 horsepower. So 127 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Say 127 horsepower. 127 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Say 6,000 RPM. And 100, slightly less torque than the inline 4 at 164. That's 164 Newton meters, 121 pound-feet at 4,300 RPM. Sorry, 4,300 RPM. Next up we got is 1989. So 1989 to 1990. So 1989. It's like 1989 to 1992. But this time it has an M50. Sorry, M50. M50 B20. Inline 6 with a little bit more power, 148 horsepower. Right up to almost 150 horsepower, which is not bad. It's a pretty good amount for a car like that. Respectable. At 6,000 RPM. But this time with a lot more torque. I'm talking 190 Newton meters, 140 pound-feet at 4,700 RPM. Is that 4,700 RPM? So 400 RPM more than the previous one. It's a bit more than the 1988 to 1990 version. Was it 1989? 1989. 1992. So M50 B20. So M50 B20 inline 6. 100, right up from like 150 horsepower. It's 150 horsepower. 6,000 RPM. 190 Newton meters. 140 pound-feet at 4,700 RPM. Now we got the one from 1992. So 1992 to 1996. But this time it was an M50 B20. So M50 B20 TU, which was updated with a single Vanos back in 1992. So M50 B20. So 1992, 1996, M50 B20. So M50 B20 TU inline 6, which made same power and torque. So same power and torque for 1989, so 1989 to 1992 version. The only difference is the RPMs. So for 1992 to 1992 to 1990, so 1992 to 1996. For horsepower, it was 5,900 RPM. So 100 RPM less for power. And for torque, it was 4,200 RPM. So it's 500 RPMs less. Next up is the 525i. That's a 525i. My personal favorite. I mean, I like the 520i, but the 525i, I'll probably go with it. So, or maybe an E34 M5. I'm not too sure, but probably E36 M3 or an E30 M3. Not quite sure yet, but I don't know. I'll find out. So, anyways, we're on the 525. So 525i. Starting off with the first one. So starting off with the first one. Say 525i. Starting off with the first one from 1988. Say 1988 to 1991. Say from 1988 to 1991. And then back in 1991, that was the release of the first ever M3. The 4-cylinder, which is the E30 M3 from 1991. Brilliant year from the early 90s. Like early 90s, which is brilliant. Awesome. So 1988. So we're on a 525i. So 525i. Starting off with the first one. So with the 525i from 1988 to 1988 to 1991. This one had an M20 B25 2.5 liter naturally aspirated M20 B20, so M20 B25 straight 6 with 168, we'll round up 170 horsepower. So 170 horsepower at 5,800 RPM. So 5,800 RPM for power. As for torque, it goes up around 4,300 RPM at a respectable 222 Newton meters, 164 pound-feet. Next up is 1991. Say 1991 to 1992. As a similar engine, it now has an M50. That's right, M50 B25 straight 6, so it's a 2.5 liter. This time it made 189, well, round up 190 horsepower. So 190 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. Say at 6,000 RPM. As for torque, it has a little bit of a torque increase. It now has 245 Newton meters. That's right. 245. Yeah, 245 Newton meters. 181 pound-feet of torque at 4,700 RPMs. And next up is the one from 1992. That's right, 1992. So 1992 to 1996. This time it has an M50 B25. So M50 B25 TU engine with a single Vanos straight six. Not sure what Vanos even means. Do you guys know what Vanos means for a BMW M50 straight six engines? Comment down below what you guys think Vanos means. I've heard of it, but I forgot what it meant. Vanos. It spells V-A-N-O-S. For BMW Vanos, I'm not quite technically 100% sure or like certain what it like means or stands for, but I'm not too sure. Like I'm not 100% sure what it technically means. So where was that? Got to 525i all over again because I forgot where I left off. So 525i. First one, 88 to 91, M20 P25, inline 6, 168 horsepower, at 5800 RPM, 222 newton meters, 164 pound-feet at 4300 RPM. Next one, from 1991 to 1992. So it has an M50 B25, 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline 6. So inline 6. So 525i from 91 to 92 with a naturally aspirated 2.5 liter M50 B25. So M50 B25 inline 6 with 190 horsepower to 190 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and 245 newton meters. So 245 newton meters. So 245 newton meters, 181 pound-feet of torque. So 181 pound-feet of torque at 4,700 RPM. And last, but certainly not the very least, for the 525i, and then we was at the 530i. So the 575i from 1992. So 1992 to 1996. It had an M50 B25 TU naturally aspirated 2.5 liter engine. So inline 6. So M50 B25 TU naturally aspirated 2.5 liter. So 2.5 liter straight 6. Same horsepower, 190 horsepower, but this time at 5,900. So 5,900 RPM. So 100 RPMs less than the previous version from 91 to 92. But this time it has a slightly advantage in torque increase up to 250 newton meters. 184 pound-feet of torque. So 184 pound-feet of torque adds 4,200 RPM. So 4,200 RPM. So it's 5 newton meters. So 5 newton meters, 3 pound-feet more. Alright, next up is the 530i. So 530i. So 530i. So this has, so 530i. So 530i. So starting off, 530i, starting off with the first one from 1988. Say 1988 to 1991. So this has an that's right. So this now has a 3-liter. That's right, 3-liter naturally aspirated M30. That's right, M30 B30 inline 6, which has 185 horsepower. 185 horsepower. So 185 5,500 RPM, but has a slight advantage in torque increase than the previous one, with an extra 10 newton meters. So 10 newton meters, 8 pound-feet, so 260. That's right, 260 newton meters, 192 pound-feet at 4,300 RPM. So 100 RPMs more. It's at 4,300 RPM. Then we got the 1992, 96 version, or if we want me to be more specific and scientific, the 1992 to 1996 version. This one has a a 3-liter naturally aspirated M60 B30 V8, which makes at 5,800 RPM. So 5,800 RPM, 215 or 215. So 215 horsepower. Is that 215 horsepower? It's not really that bad. And at 4,500, so 4,500 RPM. So 4,500 RPM. 290 newton meters. So 290 newton meters. 204. So at 4,500 RPM, 290 newton meters. 214 pound-feet of torque. Alright, next up we got is the 530i. So 530i. Well, not 530, sorry. 535i slash 535is from 1987. So 1987 to 1992. So this has a 3.5. So a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated. So a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated M30 B35 inline 6 or straight 6, however you want to call it. Which this time, however, it makes 5,700 RPM. So 5,700 RPM. So 5,700 RPM. 208 horsepower. So 208 horsepower. And 305 newton meters, 225 pound-feet, so 305 newton meters, 225 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. Alright, next up we got is the 540i. But before I do that, I just gotta plug my phone in. I just gotta charge my phone while it's not recording. Hold on. There we go. Alright, so now I'm on a 540i. Is it 5? So on 535i. So 535i slash 535is. So 8792 M30B35 inline 6, 5,700 RPM, 208 horsepower, 4,000 RPM, 300. So 4,000 RPM, 305 newton meters, 225 pound-feet of torque. So yeah, we're on the right track. So now we got the 540i. It's 1992. Sorry, 1992 to 1996. So this has a a 4-liter. So 540i. So 540i. So 540i from 1992. Say 1992 to 1996. This one, however, it has a 4-liter naturally aspirated M60B40 V8, which makes 282 horsepower. Similar power as the E36 M3, which that one makes 286 horsepower. So this one has 282 horsepower. 282 horsepower at 5,800 RPM. So 5,800 RPM, 282 horsepower, and at 4,500 or 4,500 RPM, 400 newton meters, 295 pound-feet of torque. This is pretty good. And last but certainly not the very least is the M5, which that one is the best one. So starting off with the first one. So the first M5 from 1988. Say 1988 to 1992. So this has a 3.5 liter. So a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated. So naturally aspirated 3.5 liter S38. So S38. S38 B36. Say S38 B36. Straight 6, which made as 6,900 RPM, almost 7,000 RPM. Say 6,900 RPM, 311. So 311 horsepower. So 311 horsepower. Pretty good. So pretty good. And 4,750 RPMs. 360 newton meters. 266 pound-feet of torque. It's pretty good. Not bad. Not bad at all. And last but certainly not the very least of the petrol-powered cars is the M5, but this time from 1992 to 1996. So this one now has an S38 B38 straight 6. So an S38. So S38 B38 inline 6. So this was a 3.8 liter. That's right, 3.8 liter naturally aspirated. So 3.8 liter naturally aspirated S38 B38. So S38 B38 straight 6 or inline 6. Kind of rhythm going on, but whatever. Which that one makes 335. Well, probably would make 340 horsepower. So 340 horsepower at 6,900 RPM. So 6,900. So 6,900 RPMs. Pretty good. Same power as a similar, like kind of same power as a Mark V Toyota Supra. But that one probably would make like 340-ish horsepower or something like that. For the 2020 version, the 2021 will probably have like 3,000. Well, not 3,000. Sorry. Not wish for 2,000. No, I wish 3,000 horsepower. That would be crazy cool. So 335. So 335 horsepower at 6,900 RPM. As for torque, it makes 400 Newton meters, 295 pound-feet at 4,750 RPMs. So 100 Newton meters. So 100 Newton meters. So 100 Newton meters, 73 pound-feet less than a Mark V Supra A90. So this one makes that torque at 4,700. So 4,750 RPMs. And next up is, yep, you probably guessed it, diesels. I know. I don't like doing this, but unfortunately I got no choice to do so. I apologize. It's not like me to do diesel cars. So it's like I'm not a fan of diesel cars. Nobody is. Especially when they're turbocharged. It makes it worse. Anyways, let's get this over with. So diesels, here we go. So first one from diesels. There's only 3 versions anyway, so starting off with the first one is the 524 TD from 1988 to 1991. This one has a 2.4. So 2.4. That's right. 2.4 liter. So 2.4 liter naturally aspirated M21. So we're in a 524 TD from 19. So 524 TD. 524 TD from 1988. So from 1988 to 1991. So 1988 to 1991. So it has a 2.4 liter. So 2.4 liter naturally aspirated M21 D24. So M21 D24 inline 6, which makes at 4,800 RPM 114 horsepower at 4,800 RPM. So 4,800 RPM 144 horsepower. 144. Say 144 horsepower. Not 44, sorry. 114 horsepower. Say 4,800 RPM. Say 4,800 RPM. 114 horsepower. Sorry, I wish it was 140 horsepower. That would be a better increase, but 114 horsepower is how they did it. And it makes 222. So 222 Newton meters. 164 pound-feet of torque. So torque at so 222 Newton meters. 222 Newton meters. 164 pound-feet at 2,400 RPM. Now we got the 525 TD M51 D25. So M51 D25 inline 6. So did I say that the M21 D24 was inline 4 inline 6? I kind of forgot. So M20. So first one was an M21 D24. So M21 D24 inline 6. Then we got an M51. Sorry, M51 D20. So M51 D25. M51 D25. 2.5 liter. So 2.5 liter naturally aspirated. M51 D25 inline 6, which made at 4,800 RPM, 114 horsepower, and at 1,900 RPM, so 1,900 RPM, same torque, 222 newton meters, 164 pound-feet of torque at 1,900 RPM. And last but certainly not the very least for diesels is the 525. So 525 TDS from this time 1991. So 1991. So 2 years behind. Went from 1993 to 1991. Say 1991 to 1996. With the same 2.5 liter naturally aspirated M51 D25 inline 6, but this time with a huge increase in both power and torque. I said both power and torque. So it makes 141 horsepower. So 141 horsepower. 141 horsepower at 4,800 RPM. And this time 260 newton meters. 192 pound-feet at 2,200 RPMs. And last but certainly not the very least for engines, we got performance. So we got the 1994 sedan models or saloons, although all the way up from the 518i. Is it 518i? To the 525 TDS. So sedan 1994. That's like 1994 sedan models. There's like 1994 sedan models. So we got 1, 2, 3. So we got out of 8 of these. So we're starting off with the first one. So number 1 is the 518i. So it's gonna be top speed 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. So 31 miles an hour, 0 to 80 kilometers an hour. 50, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. 60, 120 kilometers an hour. 75, then a standing kilometer. So starting off with the first one, which is the 518i. Which it does. It has two different types of top speeds. One is European, one is a US version. So the one that's higher is the European version. The one that's lower is the US version. So starting out with the 518i, that has a top speed of 198 kilometers an hour, 123 miles an hour. That's the Euro version. US 192 kilometers, 192 kilometers an hour, 119 miles an hour. So 119 miles an hour. So 0 to 50 kilometers an hour, 0 to 30 miles an hour in 4 seconds. It's not bad. So we got 0 to 80 kilometers an hour, 0 to 50 miles an hour in 8.4 seconds. Then 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour. Which for the euros is 12.3, US 13.7 seconds. Then 0 to 120 kilometers an hour, 0 to 75 miles an hour, 17.2 seconds. Was that 17.2 seconds? 17.2 seconds. Standing kilometer, Euro, so European 33.5 seconds. US 34.9 seconds. Well, round up is like 35 seconds flat. 1.5 seconds slower than the European version. Alright, next up is the 520i. So its top speed for the European version is 211 kilometers an hour, 131 miles an hour. So 131 miles an hour. That's for the European version. For the US, it's 207 kilometers an hour. So 207 kilometers an hour. Kilometers an hour. 129 miles an hour. 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. 0 to 31 miles an hour. 3.4 seconds. So a little bit faster than the previous one. 0 to 80 kilometers an hour, 0 to 50 miles an hour in 6.7 seconds. Then we got 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, so 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour. For European, 10.6 seconds, US 11.7 seconds. So 0 to 120 kilometers an hour, 75 miles an hour in 14.2 seconds. So standing kilometer, European 31.5, US 32.9. Right now it's almost 33 seconds flat. Then we got the 525i version. So European 230 kilometers seconds. 0 to 80 kilometers an hour. 0 to 50 miles an hour in 5.8 seconds. So 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 0 to 60 miles an hour. European 8.6, US 9.5. So 9.5 seconds, almost a whole second slower than a European version. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So 0 to 120, 0 to 120 kilometers an hour. 0 to 75 miles an hour in 11.8 seconds. Standing kilometer, European 29.2 seconds. US 30.3 seconds. Now we got the 525iX version. So for the European, it does 220 kilometers an hour, 137 miles an hour. So that's for the European version. The US does 217 miles an hour. It said 217. So European does 220 kilometers an hour, 137. So 220 kilometers an hour, 137 miles an hour. So that the European one is 220 kilometers an hour, 137 miles an hour. That's European. The US does 217 kilometers an hour, 135 miles an hour. 0 to 50, so 0 to 50 kilometers an hour. Actually, I have to say in miles an hour, like in kilometers, like you guys already know. So 0 to 31 in 3 seconds. 0 to 56.4 seconds. 0 to 60. European 9.5. US 10.3 seconds. 0 to 75. So 0 to 75. 13 seconds. Standing kilometer. European 30.3. US 31.4. Next up is the 530i. So European does 146 miles an hour. So European 146 miles an hour. US 144. 0 to 31 miles an hour. So 31 miles. So 31. 2.7 seconds. 50. 5.6. 60. European 7.7. American 8.8. 75, 11 seconds. Standing kilometer. European 28.4. So European 28.4. US 29. So 29.3. So we got the next one, which is a 540i. Top speed. Sorry, recognizable, very respectable, limited 250 kilometers an hour, which is, yep, you guessed it, limited to 155 miles an hour. Pretty good. Not too bad, 155 miles an hour. That's good for the 540i. 0 to 31. 2.3 seconds. 0 to 50. 4.7 seconds. 0 to 60. 0 to 60. European 6.4. US 6.8. So 0 to 75. 9 seconds. Standing kilometer. European 26.3. US 26.8. Next up is the 525 TD. So, top speed, European 121 miles an hour. US 118 miles an hour. 0 to 31, 4.2 seconds. 0 to 50, 8.8 seconds. 0 to 60, European 12.9. American 13.9. So a second faster than the American version. So 75, 18.2 seconds. So 18.2 seconds. And standing kilometer, 34. So 34.2. 34.2 for the European version. So 34.2 for European. 34.2 European. 35.2 American. And then the last one, last but certainly not the very least, the 525 TDS. Alright, top speed. So European 129 miles an hour. So European 129 miles an hour. American 127. 0 to 31, 3.6 seconds. So 31 miles an hour, 3.6 seconds. 57.5, 60. European 11 seconds flat. So European 11 seconds flat. American 11 point. So European 11 seconds flat. So that's a European one, 11 seconds flat. American 11.6 seconds. 75 miles an hour, 15 seconds flat. And standing kilometer. So standing kilometer, European 32.1 seconds. So European 32.1. American 33 seconds flat. So a few had like automatic gearboxes, and it was governed for like auto/manual. Okay, now we got drivetrain. So we're on drivetrain next. So drivetrain. So we got gearboxes. So two only, manual and automatic. So starting out with the manual. That's better. So we got a 5-speed. So for our drivetrain, for manual transmissions, we got 5-speed. So a 5-speed. So 5-speed Getrag 260. So 5-speed Getrag 260. A 5-speed Getrag 280. So 280. This is for the 3.6 liter. 3.6 liter M5 model only. So M5 model only. 3.6 liter, and a 5-speed CF S5D 310 for 91 and 92. So 1991 and 1992. So 91 and 91 and 92 for the US, and for European M50 engines, they were gonna 5-speed, 5-speed. So 5-speed Getrag 250G. So 5-speed Getrag 250G for 1993 to 1995 for the US. That's for the M50 engines as well. And then we got my personal favorite, the 6-speed version with the Getrag 420G. I was at 420G gearbox. So it's a 6-speed for both the 540i and 94, 96 M5 only. Now we got automatic gearboxes. So first one is a 4 out of these 4 automatic gearboxes. Starting off with the first one, which is a 4-speed. So 4-speed CF4. So 4-speed CF4 HP22 for both M20 and M30 engines. Next one is a 4-speed GM4L30-E. That's for the A4S 310R or 310R M50 engines for the US only. They're gonna 5-speed CF5 HP 18 M50 and M51, apart from the US, and 92, 95 530i with the M60B30 engine. I believe it's a straight 6, I think, or a V8, I forgot. So we got a 5-speed CF 5HP30. That's what a 540i. So 540i version. Alright, next up is the suspension. So next up is the suspension. It says suspension. And then I'll call it a 9. So suspension. Front suspension. So front suspension. So front suspension consists of double pivot McPherson. So double pivot McPherson. McPherson struts. Suspension. Front suspension consists of double pivot McPherson struts with a replaceable shock absorber. So with a replaceable shock absorber. So shock absorber cartridge inside a steel strut housing. So inside a steel strut housing. Control and thrust arms. So control arms and thrust arms. Control front to back and side to side. Movement steering on most models is a recirculating ball design. However, the all-wheel drive 525iX uses both a rack and pinion steering system along with the front suspension. So along with the front suspension, similar to the E33 series. It's an E33 series 325. So a 325 iX model suspension. So all front suspension components are steel, except that the lower control arms on some models are aluminum. Rear suspension. So rear suspension consists of semi-trailing arms with coil springs integrated into a strut assembly. Alright. So semi-trailing arms is also known as trailing arm suspension.